Hey, welcome into the Stinkin Truth Podcast. Mark Schlereth alongside my buddy Mike Evans. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Please subscribe and share with all your friends and family. Mike, how are you? Happy New Year, buddy.
Yeah. How long into the new year can you wish somebody Happy New Year?
It's about, I would say, no more than a few days.
Right.
Yeah, eventually. Like if you haven't seen somebody in the first week of the new year and you see them for the first time,
Right.
I think it's cool to say Happy New Year. I hate people like in February, Happy New Year. Like that those people I hate. Those people are annoying.
You hate them.
Yeah, I hate those people.
Okay.
They're just annoying people. That's all.
Okay. Hey, well, let's jump right into it. Final week of the regular season, some really good storylines. We talked about last week, Saquon Barkley going for the record. He's not. They're going to sit him. Do you agree with the decision?
Wow, that is such a tough one for me because I heard the disappointment in his voice. I don't know if you heard the sound, but he was like, man, you could see that he was disappointed. Like it'd be really cool to have that record, and I'm going to do what the team basically asked me to do. I will tell you this, Nick Sirianni went and talked to everybody on that roster, but more importantly, he talked to his GM and he talked to his owner, the most important thing, Jeffrey Luria. And Jeffrey just said, I think this is what went down. I think Jeff goes, no way, we're not doing it. We're not risking it. Ultimately, Mike, I think that I understand that your goal coming into this wasn't to set the National Football League's record for rushing. It's 2105 set by Eric Dickerson in 1984. That was never the goal. The goal is to try to win a championship. So I understand that aspect of it. But I will tell you, having kind of as close to firsthand experience as you can have, watching Terrell Davis so we went in 1998. We went into the final week of the season, week 18, nothing to play for. We were the number one seed in Denver. Terrell needing 170 yards to get 2,000. Now he was going to have a bye week after that, but we got him that 2,000 yards. I mean, 170 yards. We're sitting there. It was one of the coolest events of my life because it was important to me. I'm not going to the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Like most of the guys that play aren't going to the Hall of Fame, but I've got a piece of the Hall of Fame. I've got a piece in Terrell Davis. Like I look at the 3 world championships that I was, fortunate enough to be a member of those 3 world championship games or 3 world championship, seasons. But I look at the 1991 season with the Washington Redskins, 19 total games, including a world championship. We gave up not 1, not 2. We gave up 9 total sacks. That's never going to be reached again. That to me is that's an unreachable record. And that's cool, man. It's cool to be a part of that history. And we were all a part of that history. And I look at, we'd have set the all-time record because we'd have given up less than the record was 7 sacks over the course of a season. And we had 6 going into week 18. And we sat a bunch of guys and gave up 3 sacks in Philadelphia. Still bothers me. And then in 1998, getting Terrell Davis that 2,000 yards, we ended up sitting Terrell at essentially halftime of, I think, 4 games. He had 170 yards at the half or close to it against Dallas, against Philadelphia, against Washington. I think there were 4 games. There's one other game in there. It wasn't the Giants, but it was somebody else where we sat him. He'd obliterated that record had we not sat him. But the bottom line was, I get what Philadelphia is saying, but man, it means more. It's not just Saquon, man. If I played offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles, it means something to me. But I also look at Landon Dickerson, who's been injured, and has been kind of beat up a little bit. Lane Johnson, who said, hey man, the record to me, he wants the rest. So I get it, but there's a part of me that wishes that history get broken because I think it'd be really cool.
You'd love to be on top of the list of all the 2,000-yard rushers. But isn't just getting to 2,000 as a running back, isn't that such a special threshold that even if Barkley doesn't hold the top spot, it still resides with Dickerson? You're part of such an exclusive club now. Yeah. And I don't know if just because Dickerson's on top of all these 2,000-yard rushers, I don't think there's a big difference in the way that people perceive Eric Dickerson versus the other guys in that club. I think they're all in a very exclusive club. Dickerson just happens to be on top of it, but I don't think he gains that much notoriety from the other guys that are in the club. You know what I mean?
You don't? I think you're wrong.
I don't. No.
Okay, so there's 9 guys in the club. Name them. I know you can name Dickerson.
Dickerson, OJ, TD, Barkley, Chris Johnson, CJ2K. Who am I missing? I know. I just kind of.
Derrick Henry.
Correct. Sorry, King Henry. Yep. Who else?
Jamal
Adams. Jamal. No.
The running back for
Jamal Lewis.
Yes. I even screwed
you're
up.
right. I am. Maybe I just proved myself wrong. Maybe it is. You're right. Okay. Well, then shame on Philadelphia. Shame on you.
I get why you do it. It would be such a cool thing to be a part of for every guy on that offense. And listen, if they had a bye week, if they were the number 1 seed, I believe they would have gone for it. But because they don't have a bye week, because they're the number 2 seed, they have to play the following week. And I get it. I 2 things can be true at once. It really hurts me for Saquon and some of the rest of the guys on the offense that they're not going to get to go for that. It hurts me. At the same time, I completely understand why you do it. So like I said, 2 things can be true at once. I would have loved to see him get that record. I really would have. But ultimately, if he got hurt in doing that, then you would go, this was foolish. So, and the other thing is, by the way, Jalen Hurts hasn't passed concussion protocol.
Right.
So let me just ask you this. If Jalen Hurts was healthy, maybe you would change your opinion. Maybe Jalen Hurts would have played a little bit and you'd have played. But if Jalen Hurts isn't healthy, you're like, hey, what if we go into the first week of the playoffs and Jalen Hurts still hasn't passed concussion protocol? Would I rather have Kenny Pickett hand off to Saquon Barkley or Gainwell? There's a lot of moving parts here. Ultimately, I think it was the owner's decision. And if it's the owner's decision and you're Saquon Barkley, you're like, all right, I get it.
You mentioned the number 2 seed, the number 1 seed, Vikings and Lions. Does it blow your mind that what's at stake here is 15-2, number 1 seed versus 14-3, number 5 seed? Come on, there's got to be there's something inherently wrong and unfair with that, isn't it?
Yep. Life ain't fair, Mike. That's what you tell your kids all the time, right? Life ain't fair. Deal with it. It's not. You're right. 14-3, and you're going to become the 5 seed. And so for instance, for Detroit, if they lose, having been probably the best team for the majority of the season, and then they have all these defensive injuries, right? So if you're Detroit, now all of a sudden you go from the number 1 seed, potentially, to the number 5 seed, where you're going to have to go on the road at Tampa. You're going to have to go on the road, wherever else, and then, maybe finish up at Minnesota or whatever. Or Philly or whatever. It's incredible the road that you're going to have to travel. Now, I will say this. The Detroit Lions, this is the equivalent of a playoff game. This Minnesota-Detroit Week 18, both of them 14-2 for the number 1 seed. This is a playoff game. There is no team in the National Football League that is better equipped for the pressure of the playoffs than Detroit and the Detroit Lions. They've been playing this way for 2 years now. Dan Campbell is a crazy man. Going for it on 4th down punts from his own 20-yard line. Going for 4th down and 8 from his own 20. 4th down and 2-point conversion from his own 7-yard line. Having a conversation with him several years ago, Mike, sitting down with him, he's like, I wanted, one of my big things was about going for 4th downs is to take the stigma and the pressure off my football team on third down and fourth down. We're so used to doing this, it becomes second nature to us. And part of playing in the playoffs, man, there's a different feel to it. Like, you understand the consequences. Lose and you go home. Win and you advance. And that's what this feels like to me, a playoff game. Win and you get the number one seed in the bye. And let me tell you, Detroit needs it more than anybody else. They're so injured on the defensive side of the ball. Lose and you're the fifth seed, you're going on the road. Like, I get it. You're going to Tampa if you lose. So, listen, man, they are equipped to play this way. It looks like they may get Alex Anzalone back. He was their defensive team captain, the middle linebacker. He's also the green dot guy, which is huge from a communication standpoint, especially when you're dealing with a bunch of guys that were backups. You know, I watched them on Monday night. I've got San Francisco this week. I'm calling the San Francisco game. So San Francisco-Detroit was important for me, right? So I stayed up and watched this whole thing here on the East Coast, and which is a big deal for me. Maybe for the rest of you East Coasters, it's not a big deal, but for me, it's a ball buster.
Trust me, folks, that's shocking. That's a shocking development right there.
Like, it's a ball. I was like this the whole time. So,
yeah. I know you, Papa Bear loves to get his sleep.
Oh my gosh. So anyhow, I watched that whole deal, and I did them week 4. I had Detroit week 4. Mike, there were 3 guys on defense that I recognized. Jack Campbell, Kirby Joseph, and Jack Campbell, Kirby Joseph, and Brian Branch. And I was like, who's that guy? I was like, 69, who's that? Who's that linebacker? You know, who's that? I mean, it's incredible how many people they've lost, and they are equipped to deal with the injuries. They're equipped to deal with the pressure because they play this way, and they've chosen to play this way for the last 2 years. So, listen, man, I still love Detroit. I think Detroit wins this game. I do. They're a 3-point favorite at home. But I'm not going to be surprised at all if Minnesota wins it. I won't.
You mentioned Tampa. Baker Mayfield doesn't get mentioned in the MVP conversation. Should he?
Nah, he's been good. He's thrown too many interceptions. No, like, Jared Goff has got a stronger case than Baker Mayfield. Sam Darnold's got a stronger case. You look at what Saquon has done. He's not going to get the record. He probably won't win it, even though he got the 2,000 yards. You look at what Lamar is doing right now, what Joe Burrow is doing. I think the guy that has the biggest case that won't win it is Joe Burrow. Like, Joe Burrow's numbers are insane, but listen, man, the guy hangs 30 every single week, and it's not good enough to overcome his defense. Like, every week. So he's got a huge case for it. They don't protect him. It's all on his shoulders. Like, I'll tell you this right now, and I believe this. As currently constructed, Joe Burrow will never win a championship, and that's a shame. Unless they actually look at what they're doing and start protecting him and start taking some of the pressure off of him. And like, I have firsthand experience with this. You know, I always joke around, and it purely is a joke. But, you know, when people say, hey, you know, John Elway carried you to your championships, really? How was he before I got there? Oh, he was 0-3, got his ass kicked every time he went to a championship game? And what was he when I got there? Oh, he's 2-0? Yeah, maybe it's me. But it's not that, you know, obviously it's not that. It's the fact that he had a supporting cast. He drugged teams to world championships. Great quarterbacks don't win world championships. Great football teams win world championships. He drugged teams and then got absolutely ass whipped by the Giants, by the Niners, by the Washington Redskins. He just got pummeled in those games because he didn't have a complete championship. Does it make him any less great a quarterback? No, it makes him an amazing quarterback. Right. But as currently constructed, the Cincinnati Bengals will not win a championship with Joe Burrow because they don't understand football.
So is that the biggest argument that you would make as to why you don't pay receivers? That once you find your quarterback like the Bengals have with Burrow, forget about paying T. Higgins. Do you not even pay Jamar Chase?
I think Jamar Chase is special. Like, I think T. Higgins is great. Right? I thought Boyd was good. I think that Jamar Chase is a special player, like Justin Jefferson is a special player. But beyond that, seriously, beyond those two guys, who else at the wide receiver position is a guy that's just so freaking special that you can't afford not to pay him?
CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb's really good. The thing is we pay everybody the receiver. Not everybody. There's very few guys that are Jamar Chase or CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson. Like the rest of them, whatever. To me, that's just the way I operate. I would far more like to. I would think that the value for Cincinnati by far 10 times over is to start figuring out your offensive line, to start figuring out, like, I know, like, I got crushed in Cincinnati when I was like, I wouldn't have taken Jamar Chase, I'd have taken Penei Sewell. How's that work for Detroit? Like, I get it. I get it that they went to a Super Bowl and they got beat by the Rams and it was great, right? I understand that. But to me, until you start learning how to run the ball, where you stop playing in shotgun 100% of the time, where you actually protect your quarterback. I read something, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like Joe Burrow's the most sacked quarterback in football over the last 4 seasons. Dude, you got a $60 million a year investment that you're putting guys in front of him, and you think you're going to overcome it with wide receivers? You're putting a sieve in front of him. And by the way you operate your offense, to me, Zach Taylor, like, I look at that and I'm like, dude, you have that guy, we've talked about this before, playing on the high dive 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Hey, Joe, go win us a game. Hey, coach, how about you take some pressure off of Joe so he doesn't have to play on the high dive and he took 7 sacks against the Broncos and still found a way to throw it for 400 yards and win. And you know what that ends up doing? Here's what it ends up doing to you as a franchise. You fool yourself into believing you're close because that guy covers so many freaking warts. And my answer would be, let's stop making him play that way. Let's cover up some of those warts as an organization as opposed to having him cover all the warts. How about we put it on us? Because we're getting that guy slaughtered every freaking Sunday. But no, we're close. We're close. Oh, we're so close. I told the GM of the Arizona Cardinals this a couple of years ago. I was sitting with him. Hey, every game's a 1-score game. I'm like, you're not close. And he's like,
what?
Yeah. He goes, I go, you think you're close because what? You got talent. You got Murray and you got wide receivers and you got, and you score points and you think at that point they had D Hopkins and you think you're not close. You're getting beat by 14 every game and then you rally for a late courtesy touchdown because we're playing prevent and you put up a lot of yards offensively and you think you're close. You're not close. You are not close. And that's how I think about the Cincinnati Bengals.
For all you Baker Mayfield fans out there, Baker yourself, I tried to bring you up and Mark just blew right past it. I guess 4,300 yards and 39 touchdowns isn't enough to get Mark's attention. I tried. Baker, maybe you might want to put Mark back on your list.
Baker and I are tired of the mouse nuts.
Oh, are we?
You are not gonna drive the wedge between the Bake Show and I.
Oh, the Bake Show. Okay.
The Bake Show and I.
Are you Bake Show and Stink or solid?
Right. This is me and Bake Show right here. That's you over here trying to drive the wedge. So it's right there. We're there. And then you down here. Yeah, no, Baker and I are tight, man. Here's what I love. I love this. Week 18 is really cool because it's about incentives.
Yep.
Like right now, Geno Smith has got $6 million of incentives riding on this game. Oof. 186 yards passing. Okay, that's all he needs. He needs a win. 186 yards gets him $2 million. A win gets him another $2 million. And then if he keeps his percentage at 70%, I think it's 70.2% completion percentage. That's another $2 million.
Oof.
I would be throwing check downs. I'd be check down Charlie, man. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, there's $2 million. So, like, that's really cool. But the coolest one to me, Mike Evans, in Tampa Bay, needs 5 catches. That's easy. Couple bubble screens, right? You're going to get him 5 catches. But he needs 85 yards to get over that 1,000-yard mark. That's a $3 million check. And they've got to win this game, right, to maintain their lead over Atlanta. So they're going to play. And what do you do when you're playing? You get your best players involved in the game, right? And Mike Evans is one of their best players. And Baker Mayfield told me sitting right with him, just like we're sitting. Well, we're not sitting together, but, theoretically, sitting together. And he said, man, I was like, are you aware? He goes, yeah, that Mike Evans needs, at that point, it was like 101 yards per game to get, he needs, or 99.5 is what it was. 99.5 over the last 6 games. Yeah, I'm completely aware. And we're going to get him that. And we're more aware of it than Mike Evans is aware of it. And it's important to us and it's important to me. And I'm getting that guy that 1,000 yards. He is getting that $3 million bonus. Dude, he's getting it as sure as we're sitting here. And he's got to have the 5 catches plus the 85 yards. And I guarantee you, Baker's going to make sure. That's why guys love Baker. That, like, you want to talk about MVP. If you just want to talk about MVP, throw all the numbers out and all that stuff. Just the swag that dude brings to the football field, just what he means to that football team. That's where the MVP. If you want to have that conversation, like it's my boo rating, balls over opponent. That dude's got balls, man. And the guys love Baker Mayfield.
You had an Aaron Rodgers game a couple of weeks ago, and Aaron this week acknowledged that Sunday could be his final NFL game. Do you anticipate Aaron Rodgers playing next year? I heard a juicy rumor, the idea that if Pittsburgh continues to fall flat here coming down the stretch, how about Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh next year?
All right, so here's the deal. Because you're right. I sat with Aaron, right across, sitting at the same table, and talked to him just about football in general, but talked to him, because I would be derelict in my responsibility if I didn't ask him about his future. And said this, he came to the Jets because of Joe Douglas, because of Robert Saleh, and because of Nathaniel Hackett and some of the relationships he had, right? That's why he was playing. And like he said to me, point blank, when I asked him if he was going to play again next year, said, obviously the Jets, they're going to go in a different direction. Like, are they going to want me? I don't know. Like, I don't know what that entails. And it seems like the relationship between he and Woody Johnson has become frosty of late. So, I don't think the Jets are going to ask him back. New coach, new administration, new what, it doesn't make sense to me that they're going to go in that direction. So he said to me this, Mike, he goes, I would play again. I think I would play again, but it has to be the perfect situation. And again, I don't know what the perfect situation is. Is that where I have some say in what we're going to do, how we're going to run the offense, and I want to be, I don't know what that means exactly. I would imagine it means we got to have a solid football team. We've got to be able to run the football. My sense with Aaron is his frustration comes with not the players. His frustration comes with they're one of the most poorly coached teams in the National Football League. When you put them on film, and I did for 3 games, and watch their offense operate, I watched their defense too, obviously, but watch their offense operate, it's pathetic. And I'm not talking about players being pathetic. They've got good players. Their lack of understanding of how to operate an NFL offense is embarrassing. Flat out embarrassing. And I could bore you to death with X's and O's that are above my shoulder here about plays and what they're running, but they're an embarrassment. So say what you will. That for me was what came across more than anything else. And again, I don't know. I'm just my gut reaction. Aaron and I talked about we probably spent 20 minutes talking about the run game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an in-depth X's and O's conversation about front side 19 Wanda and what the front side to a 1 technique and a bubble with a 9, and it was in depth.
So he loves football. He loves football.
Loves it, and he is of all the QBs I talk to, there is nobody that I can tell you that has a better global understanding of the game than Aaron Rodgers.
Then if you combine that with the fact that there's no way he wants his legacy and people's final memories of him to be these 2 years in New York, he's playing next year. All right. Well,
it depends on if you believe him. So you say that he didn't want his legacy. Let me tell you what he thinks of your opinion. He doesn't give a fuck about what you think, about what I think, about what anybody else thinks. He cares about the guys he plays with, what they think. And beyond that, honestly, he's like, if I do retire, he said this to me, if I do retire, you guys will never hear from me again. I am going to disappear. Now, I don't know. He's got the Enigma thing out there. But could you see him touring foreign countries and going on a 20-month sojourn of ayahuasca, weed smoking, and building a what did you call it? A yurt?
A yurt?
A yurt. Living in a yurt. Traveling around Europe in a yurt. Living at Stonehenge. Hey.
Stonehenge. Okay. There you go, everyone. You're the best. You are the best. Last one real quick before we get to our picks. You're like the Chiefs right now. You're just, you've already clinched everything for the regular season, so you're just taking it easy. But Patriot fans, New England Patriots have the number 1 pick in the draft right now. And they're home this week against a Buffalo team who are not playing their starters. Every Patriot fan out there watching right now desperately wants the Patriots to lose. And yet the Patriots, they're going to start Drake May, and should the Patriots just try to lose this game, or does that just not exist in the NFL as much as we as fans want to believe it does?
Not for the coaches and the players.
Right.
This is your resume, man. 32 teams, yourself included, so 31 other teams are going to get this film. So what are you going to tell me to, hey, take it easy or not go out and play hard? Or
yes,
as a coach, you're going to say, hey, let me call some bad plays so we can lose this game? Are you crazy? Every guy is an alpha competitor. Every dude that plays in the NFL. So I'm just going to lay down for you? Man, I tell you what, we talked about incentives, right? And guys going out and playing for their incentives and stuff. I had a guy once late in my career offer me half of his bonus if I give up a sack. He said, man, I've got the sack bonus. We're walking back from the play. I've got the sack bonus. If you just give me a sack, and I get the sack bonus, I'll split the bonus with you. I was like, get the fuck out. You can get a sack on me if your life depended on it. I don't care how much money it is. That's on me. That would go on me, and nobody else would know about it. I'd know about it. I'm not that. Are you kidding me?
So you can't, let's say if you're Robert Kraft, you can't just say, Gerard Mayo, don't play Drake May. Don't play Jacoby Brissett. I order you to play Joe Milton or bring back Bailey Zappi or Scott Sequels, Hugh Millen. Have them play quarterback.
It happened in Denver last year of Gary Kubiak's tenure here. John Elway said, don't play Trevor Siemian. I want you to play Paxton Lynch.
Right.
That was agreed upon. And then what happened?
They were up 23-0 at half, and he's like, screw that, I'm going for the win.
Yeah. He said, screw that, man. You fire me. I don't give a shit, man. I'm not playing Paxi. He hasn't earned it. I lose respect with my players. I'm not doing that. I'm sticking with Trevor Siemian. And John Elway, the reports were John Elway was hot. He's pissed. So what? Fire me. Gerard Mayo, man, was a great player in this league for a long time. Gerard Mayo, if Robert Kraft came and said, hey, dude, I want you to play this guy instead of this guy, then you're going to have to fire me right now. I guarantee you, you're going to have to fire me right now.
I guess that's, at the end of the day, that's admirable, isn't it? In a time where we see so many franchises in sports that are intentionally trying to lose or definitely not trying to win, that even though you got a whole segment of fans, you probably got a whole segment of owners, front office types that are like, lose, please lose. But ultimately, the coach and the players are like, that's not the way that we're wired. And I guess as much as fans, you have a hard time looking at that. Yeah. It's probably a good thing that still is the thinking.
There's integrity in it. And, you just think about it from a rating standpoint. Why are the NFL ratings high? Because the games mean something and guys play their asses off. NBA, take note, NBA, because the regular season's irrelevant. You turn it on any given night, nobody's playing defense. LeBron comes out and says, hey, man, I could play another 5 to 7 years. Yeah, you never play defense. It's like the exchange rate in Canada. You're only really playing 2.5 years. You're not really going to play. Even if you play 5, you're only getting 2.5. So, yeah, it's ridiculous. All right, you ready to make pits?
Yeah, you've already clinched the regular season title, so this is just kind of for entertainment purposes only. But I'm going to get you in the playoffs.
All right.
I'm going to get you.
I'm currently crushing you.
I know.
Give the records right now?
No, we don't need to do that.
No, I got it right here in my bag.
People aren't really, they don't care.
Yeah, no, I think they do care.
They don't care.
Ultimately,
you care? I don't care.
All right, Mike, you're actually not bad, Mike. You're 27-23-1. It's 4 games over 500.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Not bad at all. I am 32-18-1, which is what, 63, 64%, something like that?
Hot.
Right.
Hot.
I mean, hot. So, Michael, do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
You go first.
All right. Here it is. I have got the Chargers and Raiders playing. The Raiders, come on. They folded their tents. They're bad. Jim Harbaugh's got the San Diego.
Still doing that.
Old habits die hard. The Chargers playing their asses off, physical, nasty. Chargers 4.5 point, given 4.5. I got the Chargers minus 4.5. The Eagles and playing the Giants. Listen, I know no Saquon. I know this, but the Giants are god awful. They're god awful. So I'm going Eagles minus 3, and then the Bengals playing the Steelers, Mike. I like the Bengals still fighting for playoff hopes. I like the Bengals minus 1.5 over the Steelers.
All right. These are just for entertainment purposes only. I'll take Detroit. Winner take all for the number 1 spot. Detroit minus 3 over Mini. I'll take Tampa. I'll lay the big 13.5 over New Orleans at home. And then I'll take Atlanta minus the 7.5 over Carolina.
All right.
All right.
All right. I like it, Michael. I like it. All right. So listen, hey, for everybody involved, Happy New Year. That's the last time we're going to say it. For everybody involved in the Stinkin Truth podcast, he is Mike Evans. I am Mark Schlereth. Thank you guys so much for making us a part of your day, and all the best to you guys. Good luck. Oh, the fantasy playoffs are already over, right? Fantasy. Did you play fantasy this year?
I did. I won my league.
Did you really?
Yes. Thanks to Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. Boy, that was bittersweet. As a Bronco kind of fan here, I
that's why I quit playing.
Yeah.
I quit playing because I started watching games like a fantasy owner as opposed to an amateur.
Right.
Go.
No,
all right. Anyhow.
Right.
For everybody involved, man, have a great one, and we'll talk to you guys early next week. Thank you.